Hi, I'm Kim Manis, and today I'm going to be joined with Patrick Baumgartner, and together we're going to talk about how to drive a data culture with Power BI and Microsoft Teams. First, we're going to cover why it's so important to drive a data culture in your organization. Then, I'm going to talk about how Power BI empowers every individual to do more with their data. Then I'm going to hand it over to Patrick to talk about how that extends to empowering every team to make data-driven decisions. Satya said, we've seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in the last 2 months. Individuals have had to adapt to working remotely, often from home. Teamwork and collaboration has completely changed. No longer can we walk down the hallway and chat with our colleagues. And organizations have become fully remote workforces practically overnight, changing a bunch of the assumed business processes that went with it. And we know that how we share and consume data must transform as well. Individuals have to have data accessible everywhere they work. Teams need to have data infused into their collaboration workspaces so they can make those data-driven decisions. And organizations need to entrust everyone with data, no matter where they're working. Today, we're going to cover how Power BI empowers individuals and teams, and then in a later session, Priya will cover how organizations can scale to any size and any need with Power BI. And this is what forms a data culture in your organization. First, I'm going to talk about how Power BI empowers everyone to do more with their data. And that really starts with amazing data experiences. We want to make it as easy to use Power BI as it is Microsoft Office, and as familiar as PowerPoint. And this is what we're calling PowerPoint for data. With hundreds of data connectors and super familiar experiences, it's easy for anyone to get started with Power BI. And then we want to infuse AI superpowers for everybody creating content in Power BI, whether that's typing questions with natural language or easily finding patterns and exploring key influencers in your data. Let's take a look at how that works. I'm going to start here in Power BI Desktop, our free authoring tool. And you see immediately it tells me that I can import data from Excel, from SQL, I can paste data in if I want. And with over 100 sources, basically you can connect to anything you need to. And I'm going to switch over to a report that I've already created here. And we'll start by just building a visual. So let's go ahead and add our transaction data, and we'll look at it by city. We'll move this around. And you see just with a couple clicks, we get a visual that we can go ahead and look and get some insights. We see that Esterwin is the leading city where transactions are coming from. And I can start to slice and dice and cross-highlight and get more data from my other visuals. They change as I click. And immediately you see that Power BI looks really familiar. You know, as I resize these objects, it looks and feels just like PowerPoint. This ribbon at the top, it looks familiar because it is the Office ribbon. It's actually the same code running in Microsoft Office. And one of the new capabilities we've added recently is the ability to search across actions across Power BI. I can get a list of suggested actions, recent files, or I can go ahead and search for what I'm looking for. So in this case, I want to add a new theme. And you see right here, I get a bunch of PowerPoint-like theme templates that I can go choose from. I like this one. And now my colors all change on the fly really quickly. So these are just a couple ways that we're really making Power BI feel familiar, feel just like PowerPoint, and what we're calling PowerPoint for data. The next thing we're focusing on is making sure data exploration is super easy. We want to empower everyone to be able to find those insights really quickly and dynamically. So I'm going to go ahead and add a zoom slider to this scatter plot, and I'll zoom in. I'll take a look at these interesting data points. And once I find some outliers I want to explore, I can go ahead and select them all with a lasso. And again, all those visuals update, and I can get those insights into what's going on with these particular transactions and what cities and the average revenue is driving them. The next thing I want to show you is a capability we've added recently called small multiples. This is the ability to easily compare categories really quickly in a visual. So you can see here I have data on cancellations for different product categories. And I can really quickly add age group to that. And now immediately it jumps out to me that the 35 to 50 age group really prefers outdoor products, and the 50 to 65 group prefers board games. And this is something I wouldn't have been able to easily discern if I was just looking at the visual without this new capability. So these are just a few different ways that we're empowering authors to really create amazing reports. But we also want to empower authors to make sure their end users know how to consume that data. A lot of folks just aren't familiar with data visualization. They don't even know where to start. And so that when they're looking at a report, they need to know, what insights do I need to get from this? And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how our new capability called Smart Narratives is helping to simplify that process through text. And so I'll go ahead and right-click on this visual and click Summarize. And immediately, Power BI has generated a text description of that visual in the report. And so it tells me Crystal Castle is the region with the highest revenue per transaction. So this is something that, I could figure that out if I really knew how to read the scatter chart and I hovered over all the data points. But this way, users can immediately get to that insight fast. And we can take this a step further. We can go ahead and use that same visual and summarize this entire report page. So Power BI will auto-generate a text description of everything on this page. And not only that, it'll actually give me something even deeper. It'll give me trend analysis. So in this case, it's telling me revenue is increasing over 72% and visits over 77% between March 2018 and April 2020. Now this is in the data, but it's not immediately obvious to me that change was happening. So this is a really great way for authors to make sure that their end users know what's going on and know how to interpret that data. I can take this another step further. I can actually customize this auto-generated insight. So I can go ahead and write sales amounted to, and I can add a value here. And I don't want that value to be static. I want it to be dynamic, and I want it to change when the data updates. So I can go ahead and use natural language to update this text. So I'll go ahead and write sales amount, and that auto-completes so I can pick the right value. I can format it to currency and press save. So you see here, my text description got updated with the one I manually added. And because we added that dynamic value, when the data refreshes, when the data updates, so will the description. So in this case, I'll go ahead and look at my outdoor products, and I'll cross-highlight on this. And now all the visuals update, but so does the automatic text description. So now we see for outdoor products, visits actually increased almost 270% and revenue over 50% between that time period. And that sales amount value that I just manually added updated as well to $83. So again, this is an amazing way for end users to really be empowered to figure out what's going on in that report and get to those insights without needing to learn how to do data analysis and how to read these visuals. And because this is just a Power BI visual like any other, I can make it beautiful, I can format it, and really fit it into my report so it looks amazing. The next capability I wanted to show you is what we're calling Anomaly Detection. And we really want to empower end users with AI superpowers. We want them to really quickly get to that answer and understand why trends are happening and what's causing it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this revenue chart, and this is revenue over time. And I will add an anomaly detection algorithm right here with one click. And immediately, it jumps out to me that there are a couple anomalies in the data, and I can go ahead and adjust the sensitivity, so I can move this up or down, apply that. I can change the formatting, I can make the color different, and so that looks great. But not only does Power BI tell me that there are anomalies in the data, it actually can help me figure out why this is happening. So you can see here that Power BI is telling me that revenue is unexpectedly high on this date. And not only is it telling me it's high, it's giving me possible explanations for why that data might be occurring. So you can see here it tells me the age group 50 to 65 had an unusually high spike on that same day. Similarly, a lot of folks were using promo codes on that same day. So those are two reasons that might explain what's going on in this data. And I can go ahead and add those to my report and keep exploring. And this is just another way that we're infusing AI into Power BI to make it really easy to find those insights without needing to do deep data analysis and without needing to be a data scientist. The next thing I want to show you is how we're empowering everyone to become a creator in Power BI. We want to make creation as simple as copy and paste, and then Power BI will handle the rest. We'll automatically generate a report for you to start slicing and dicing and figuring out what's going on with your data. Let's take a look at how that works. So I've been watching a lot of Pixar movies lately with my kids, and I wanted to use this data set to explore and learn more about what's going on there. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new report in Power BI. And you'll see there's a new creation experience right in the Power BI service. I don't need to download Power BI Desktop. I can get started right here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this data I got from Wikipedia into my report. So I'll go ahead and paste. And you'll see I can very quickly get this data in a state that I can work with it. And now behind the scenes, Power BI is going to automatically generate a report so that I can start slicing and dicing and finding insights in that data. So we'll start out by just looking at the table of data that it brought in here. So you can see we got all the Pixar movies here, starting with Toy Story, the most recent one, Soul. And now we can just start exploring really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and look at worldwide gross. You can see Pixar movies have grossed over $14 billion over the years. So let's see which ones have been driving that. You can see here that the sequels are doing really well for Pixar. So Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Finding Dory. So no wonder they keep making these sequels. And again, you see how easy and quick it is for me to go find those insights. I didn't have to do any building of visuals or data modeling. And I can go even further, right? I can look at the different directors and I can cross-highlight and find out, Brad Bird was the top grossing director with The Incredibles and Ratatouille. So I can keep exploring. I can go ahead and add the average Rotten Tomatoes score. And you can see Toy Story and Toy Story 2 got the elusive 100% Rotten Tomatoes score. But the interesting bit here is the director, John Lasseter, doesn't have as high of a Rotten Tomatoes score. And so if we cross-highlight, we can dive in and see that Cars and Cars 2 are bringing down his average, even though Toy Story and Toy Story 2 got that 100%. So as you can see, this is just another way that Power BI is empowering individuals to do more with their data without needing to be a data scientist or an expert in data analysis. You just saw how Power BI is empowering every individual to do more with their data. Whether that's familiar experiences just like Microsoft Office, AI superpowers that really allow them to do deep data analysis, and quick creation capabilities to enable anybody to become a creator. Now I'm going to hand it over to Patrick to talk about how we empower every team to make more data-driven decisions.
Thank you, Kim. My name is Patrick Baumgartner, and I'm a program manager on the Power BI team. And I want to keep talking about data culture and how we drive a data culture in organizations. And we started by talking about how we empower individuals with amazing data experiences, but now we want to talk about how we empower teams and help teams work together, use data, and make better decisions. And really the core part of that for us is making sure data is everywhere that you work. And we're going to talk about a couple different areas. We talk about collaboration, action, and productivity. And I want to start talking about collaboration. And this is kind of key to all of our existence right now. We're sitting on Microsoft Teams, we have to work from home. A lot of our world has been thrown into quite a bit of disruption. And it's really changed how we work. And it's made the importance of data much, much higher. And that's why we've taken Power BI and embedded it deeply into Microsoft Teams, because we want to have data one click away everywhere you are. So when you're inside of Teams, you have the full Power BI experience. And we're going to dive into this and talk about all the great capabilities we have here. But the thing to remember is if we want teams to work and make better decisions, data is a great way to do that. Especially as we're all working from home, we can't step across the hall and ask for a question. Everyone needs to be empowered to do more with data on their own. And that's really what we're trying to do inside of Microsoft Teams. So let's take a look. So I'm going to switch over here to my Power BI app inside of Microsoft Teams. And what you'll see is we have a new Power BI icon here. And so you can install this app for yourself. And it gives you the full Power BI capabilities, again, just one click away. And you can see all the greatness of Power BI Home with featured content for my organization, all of the documents that I've been opening and using recently. And it's a super easy way to make sure everybody in an organization has data right where they're working inside of Microsoft Teams. And it goes further than just having this app which brings the full power of Microsoft Power BI inside Teams, but it goes even deeper than that. So let's switch over and look at a project I'm working on and seeing how this really lights up. So here, I'm working actually with Kim. We got a little demo scenario here, and we need to do a new spring product launch. And so what do? We need to do some kind of activity like that and work. Now we create a Microsoft team and some Teams channels to all collaborate and work together. And the great thing about Teams is I can have all of my files in one place. I can do project, I can do to-do lists, I can do everything I need to do to say in conjunction as a team. And we can also bring Power BI into this location as well. So it's more than just having that Power BI personal app. In that data hub from Power BI, we can also have Power BI reports deeply embedded into our Teams channels. So in this case, like I said, the project we're working on here is a new product launch, and now everybody on this team has data, again, one click away. So I can see, where we're trying this new product launch out. We can see our different stores, who the owners of these stores are, and again, it's a fully interactive experience that means that all of the team members don't have to go searching for data. They can just find the data right where they work. And again, I see something here with Maya. I've got an issue, and because I'm in teams, it's super easy to collaborate. So maybe I want to talk to Kim and say, hey Kim, should we check on the stock level for my ? Right? So I can send that message right to Kim, and again, so that shows up in my channel chat here, so Kim can see exactly what I'm talking about, click on this link, go right to the same context I'm in, and never has to leave where we're all spending so much of our day inside of Microsoft Teams. And if we go a little bit further and think more about this conversation, I can go and see this conversation I'm having with Kim here. And Kim actually asked that, or pointed something out to me here and said, hey, did you see that we have this new report with the customer and survey trial results for these new products? And she sent me that link. And this link goes to a survey result that we ran for this new product launch, where we went out and asked users, what do they think about these new products? Here we can see the verbatims from these surveys, and we can see we are testing some different products here, the Thai seasoned chicken wings, chicken poppers, spicy chicken sandwich. We can see that one of these kind of stood out in terms of what preferences were. But again, since it's Power BI, I can fully interact, explore, and cross-highlight and navigate through all this data. And it's a really great way to make sure everybody has access to data to make better decisions. So here I can look at the response survey from this summary, the response summary from this survey, and I can go even in deep, drill down and explore these results on my own. And so we have a decomp tree here. This is a visual. I just love the decomp tree. What it lets me do as an end user is really play with and dig into the data. So I can come to the number of responses. I can start breaking this down. Maybe I want to break it down by age group. Maybe I want to look at just this 18 to 25 age group and break that down. Maybe I want to look at the employment status of these people. Okay, I just want to look at just the students, and I want to look at the likelihood to buy of just the students in this survey result, and I can see if I come to the people who are very likely, the food item that ranked the highest was actually this chicken popper item. Or this Thai seasoned chicken, I guess, is the highest. But what it does is it lets me keep navigating just really easily with each click. So I can say, okay, if I'm in the 26 to 35 range, how do they break down? And again, I can start just really easily looking at, say, full-time employed, what were they least likely to buy? In this case, it was the extra crispy sandwich. So it's just easy to navigate and understand what's going on in the data, and again, available to everybody now right inside of this context inside of Teams. But there's even more that we're doing here to make it easy to find data and access content. So if I come back to this personal app home experience, you'll see there's some additional tabs across the top. I can go create, where I can use that quick create experience that Kim showed. So if I just want to copy and paste a table of data, I can create my own report right in this context. There's a full learn experience with training and getting started materials, so I can learn how to use data and use the capabilities of Power BI. But we also have this new data sets experience inside of Power BI. And what this allows an organization to do is to take data and certify it and promote it and give everyone in the organization a single place, a single data hub to come to find this data. So here I can see we have our spring product launch SKU details, store details, marketing performance analysis. So now I, as an end user in an organization, know that I just go to Microsoft Teams and I can find all of the best data that I have access to and start analyzing on my own. And so not only can I find my curated and featured reports that have been pre-created for me, now I can also find data that I can use as well. So if I look at this marketing performance analysis, this is really great. It shows me who published it, when it was refreshed, but also gives me the ability to just with one click start analyzing this data. And so I can come in here and use the natural language capability if I wanted to. This was a marketing campaign for online sales we were doing. So if I just come in here and say tweets by country, and maybe let me drag that out so we can see it. And so here, just with a couple quick typing gestures, I can actually start building a report. I can also drag and drop, and I could save this for myself and share it with people in my organization. Again, making it super simple to have one place to go to find data and reports and everything that I need to be productive with data in my organization. The other item here that we're going to come back to in a second, you'll see that when I do click on one of these data sets, I can also very easily analyze this in Excel, right? So if I am familiar using Power BI, great, but if my tool of choice is Excel, this also lets me launch into that tool, which we're going to come to in a second. So we just saw how we took Power BI and deeply integrated it into Teams across channels in the workspaces that my teams use, a personal location for me to go to find all of the data and Power BI content that I use, and how it integrates deeply into conversations. And what we found, and this is a key point here, this is the key takeaway of this whole presentation, is that when we integrate Power BI into Teams, users use it way, way more. So if you have a Power BI deployment and you want to increase the amount that people are using data inside of your organization, here's a tip. You can take that Power BI app and you can pin it to the left rail. You can pre-install it for all your users and you can pin it to the left rail in Teams. And what we find is that when new users start using Power BI and they use it through this Teams integration, they're multiple times more likely to become deeply engaged users with data. And so it's actually just this simple free way to drive usage inside of your organization and to increase the amount of data that's used in your organization. It's just as simple as pre-pinning this application as a Teams admin, so all of your users have access to their data right where they're already working. So it's a great way to get additional value out of your existing Power BI and Teams deployments. So we talked about collaboration, and I think you've heard me say Power BI and Teams about 1 million times, but we're really excited by it. But now we can also talk about productivity, right? And when I talk about productivity, we talk about all of the tools that everyone in your organization is familiar with, whether it's Excel, SharePoint, and all of the other Office tools, PowerPoint, where you want to be able to use data effectively and make better decisions. And the one I want to highlight with the time we have today is how Power BI is integrated into Microsoft Excel. And so we've made it incredibly simple to connect Excel to Power BI data and use it in a very native and intuitive way. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to show a couple different capabilities. The first one I want to show is this new data types capability we have in Excel. And so you'll see as I'm on this tab here, I've got kind of a inventory planning scratch sheet that me and my team have done for this new product launch we're doing. You know, it's a very kind of basic Excel use case where I want to be able to type in data and keep everybody on the same page and do some, basic Excel calculations. But this new data types functionality allows me to use connected data right in this grid and can have organizationally curated data from Power BI. So here you can see we have our SKUs and we have our kind of store locations we've been talking about. Now I'm going to do something really kind of magic here. I'm going to highlight these. And I'm going to say, you know what, I want to connect these cells to organizational data. So I just click on organizations up here in the data types. And that went off and asked Power BI, it said, Power BI, do we have any organizational data that contains these names, these location names? And it turns out we have a couple. We have our spring launch preview products, and we also have our store detail information. So what I want to do is go ahead and link this to my store detail information. So just with one click, I've now actually linked these cells back to Power BI. Now, why is that cool? Why do I want to do that? Well, now if you see on this table, I can actually come out here. One, I can hover over it. Actually, first, before I do anything else, I can just hover over it, and I can actually see additional metadata about this now an entity, right? So this is a store entity, and I can see prior year sales. I can see a customer a SAT rating, who the owner is, phone numbers, locations, and all this other rich metadata. In addition to be able to see it, I can just add it with simple clicks here. So maybe I want to add the owner of this location. I want to add their phone number, and so on and so forth. I can actually add the city. And so if I'm building up this Excel spreadsheet, I can now have data that's really, really intelligent in these entities that are deeply connected into Power BI. And again, if you're an administrator, this is a great way to kind of certify and promote information to be used across your organization. So most users, they come into Excel, they start discovering these features, and how do you get everybody onto one version of the truth? Well, this is a great way to help them do that. And it's fully interactive, so you can see, I've already bound this unit here. So maybe I want to add another line item kind of order. So just by copying and pasting that value, you see all these other values showed up in Excel, and that's because behind each of these is I'm not just typing values in, I'm actually doing a reference back into that data type. I'd already matched it for the SKUs beforehand, I'd done it for the location, so now if I want to do another order, say for this location, I can drop that, and you see these values all update, and maybe I want to say an order of 10 units. And so on and so forth. It's a really flexible way to use data right inside of Excel in a very natural and easy to use way. So as you've seen, with this new Excel data types feature, we've made it really simple and intuitive to connect Excel data to these rich entities from Power BI. So your organization can think of new ways to curate information and get it to users right inside of Excel. But there's other ways to connect Excel to Power BI as well. we can, just from this Get Data menu or anywhere I create a pivot table in Excel, I can go ahead and actually connect those pivot tables directly to data sets from Power BI. So if I click here, I can see the list of data sets that I have access to in Power BI, whether they're certified, whether they're curated, and who created them when they're refreshed. And again, make it incredibly simple for users who like to work in Excel to connect to that data. And so I can obviously create that here in Excel desktop, but we have something really exciting coming as well, which is this capability built into Excel Online. So I'm going to switch here up into Excel Online. Go to my inventory list. And here you can see the same table I've been working with. And again, these rich data types working and refreshing up in Excel Online. And now the ability to play with pivot tables connected to Power BI as well. So I've got this pivot table here, and if I just want to keep exploring it further, I can say grab my units, drag it to, and it's going to ask me, hey, do I want to refresh this data? And I'm going to say yes, and then now this goes ahead and refreshes as well. So really exciting in terms of how we can take Excel and use these rich data type features, and now pivot tables in Excel desktop, and now Excel Online as well. And this is a capability that's coming very soon. So again, we talked about how in this case, Power BI deeply integrated it into Excel. And it's again, how do I take data and ensure everybody in any productivity experience they have, Teams, Excel, if you're just finding files in Office, if you're using SharePoint, how do we have data one click away everywhere people are working? Excel is a great example of that. So we talked about collaboration, we talked about productivity. The last thing I want to talk about is action, right? And action is really about wherever I have data, if I have an insight, we don't want that insight to just kind of live in someone's brain. We want it to be put into practice, right? And we're very, very fortunate in Power BI to actually be part of the Power Platform. Because what that means is we can take Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and really embed data deeply into these places where people take action. So if I created an app and I wanted to have Power BI embedded inside of that application, or I wanted to take a Power App and put it inside of Power BI, maybe I want to run automation off of data from Power BI. And what that's really about is taking data and insight and connecting it to action and driving action inside of people's workplace. And we actually have a whole session dedicated to how to turbocharge Dynamics 365 with the Power Platform, which is going to go in depth into some of this action capabilities and how you drive action with Power BI inside of the Power Platform. Now, another item that I really highly encourage you to take a look at as well is when you think about how Power BI layers even further in terms of creating data and BI solutions for any scale. So we started today with Kim talking about how we empower any individual with amazing data experiences. So that's really about how do we create AI, how do we create data visualization, how do we create authoring experiences that anyone can use. I hopefully helped you understand how we think about taking that data and embedding it everywhere decisions are made. So inside of Teams, inside of Excel, inside of all the other great Office products, how do I use data seamlessly to make better decisions? But then finally, how do we ensure an organization can be confident with that data as it's deployed? So it's secure, it runs at high scale, it's integrated with any other system you want it to be integrated with. So we think when we put this whole package together, and Power BI can really uniquely put this whole package together, we start creating data culture. We really enable you to drive a data culture inside of your organization in a unique way. So I highly encourage you to go and check out these other additional sessions. We have a ton of content available for you to really dig in deeply into Power BI, how it integrates into Teams, how it integrates with the Power Platform, how it integrates with the whole Microsoft suite of tools and capabilities. So I want to thank you again for your time. I want to thank Kim for starting us off here today. And good luck at driving a data culture inside your organization. Thank you.